This is a fictional parody, and absolutely none of it happened. At exactly 9:03, Mars declared an emergency presidential election. At 9:04, President Bigley declared himself the obvious favorite. The polls on Mars are unbelievable, because nobody has taken them. Unfortunately, Mars had not invited him, called him, or heard of him. That tiny detail did not survive the morning press conference. Sir, are you actually running for president of another planet? Running is a strong word, because I prefer arriving as the winner. 6 hours later, a gold-painted rocket blocked 3 lanes of traffic. Its name was Air Force One, spelled exactly that way. That vehicle has no launch permit, navigation system, or cup holders. Cup holders are for people who expect a bumpy victory. Then the rocket coughed, jumped, and headed directly toward Mars. By sunset, one confused Earth politician would rule an entire planet. To understand why, we must return to yesterday's extremely normal breakfast. President Bigley was studying a classified stack of blueberry pancakes. He believed the syrup pattern looked suspiciously like Florida. Nobody pours a peninsula by accident. Believe me. That was when the red telephone began speaking Marshnachen. Greetings, Earth Unit. Your rover has activated our ancient election machine. Excellent. Connect me to whoever is in charge of congratulations. Nobody is in charge, which is why the machine is currently screaming. Across the room, Dr. Nova quietly stopped chewing her toast. Which rover, and what exactly did it activate? The silver one pressed a gold button, labeled Definitely Do Not Press. President Bigley smiled like a man discovering a free buffet. Gold buttons recognize leadership, and possibly excellent taste. Sir, an alien constitutional crisis is not a campaign opportunity. Every crisis is an opportunity wearing terrible public relations. Within minutes, breakfast became an interplanetary strategy meeting. Dr. Nova projected the rover's camera feed across the dining room wall. The machine resembled a vending machine designed by nervous philosophers. For the record, the warning sign was covered by very attractive dust. The device appears to select a temporary leader during planetary emergencies. Temporary is simply permanent without good negotiation. The machine demanded a candidate with maximum confidence and minimum hesitation. That is not a healthy system of government. The telephone translated Bigley's breakfast speech into 7 Martian dialects. Every dialect somehow became louder, longer, and more confident. The election machine has identified your loudest available candidate. Available is a beautiful word, almost as beautiful as unanimous. You are not unanimous if nobody else knows the election exists. That sounds like a historic lead. Mars gave him 24 hours to appear before the election machine. Bigley gave his staff 20 minutes to find a rocket. The nearest real spacecraft required 18 months of careful preparation. Bigley rejected it for lacking gold paint and immediate availability. A theme park offered an old rocket-shaped restaurant for $12. Buy it, polish it, and remove the children's menu. That is fiberglass, not a heat shield. Then heat should show some respect and stay outside. Engineers installed 3 engines, 2 parachutes, and 1 espresso machine. The espresso machine received the most thorough safety inspection. I can fly this object, but I refuse to call it a spacecraft. Call it a winning environment with engines. His campaign team printed 10,000 hats reading "Make Mars Mildly Habitable." The final word wrapped around the back and disappeared under the strap. Martians do not wear hats because their antennae are highly sensitive. Then we have discovered an underserved hat market. At noon, the least prepared mission in history reached the launch pad. A crowd gathered because the official invitation accidentally promised free pizza. There was no pizza, but there was considerable smoke. Flight controls are responding, although several responses are personal insults. Oxygen stable, fuel unstable, confidence unfortunately unlimited. Excellent numbers, especially the unlimited one. The countdown began at 10, and immediately skipped 6 numbers. 10, 7, 3, Tuesday, launch. Air Force One rose 6 feet, paused, and reconsidered its choices. Full power now, before gravity notices us. The rocket shot upward and left its restaurant sign behind. Bigley waved through the window until the atmosphere removed his hat. Send that hat an invoice. Earth became a blue marble, then a dot, then a fundraising graphic. Mars arrival in 11 hours, assuming the engines remain emotionally available. Bigley leaned back and practiced his Martian acceptance speech. People of Mars, your long planetary nightmare of not knowing me is over. Please save oxygen by making that speech shorter. 11 hours later, Mars filled the windshield like a rusty tomato, beginning descent toward Civic Dome 7. The landing gear opened, except for the wheel serving as a dinner table. Use the good table, because first impressions matter. Air Force One landed sideways, but technically remained on Mars. A silent delegation of 12 Martians waited beside the crater. Look at that crowd, stretching almost to the other 12 people. The Martians were slender, green, three-eyed, and magnificently unimpressed. Welcome, loud Earth candidate, to our quiet and exhausted civilization. Quiet civilizations love me once the microphones arrive. Clerk 7 presented 6 forms and 6 different pens. Sign each page once, twice, and never on the dotted line. Bigley signed every dotted line with his largest possible signature. The inauguration took place inside a dome shaped like a salad bowl. 500 Martians attended, mostly because the exits were temporarily locked. Raise your right hand, or whichever hand appears most legally persuasive. Both hands are extremely persuasive. Do you promise to protect Mars from dust, rocks, and unnecessary speeches? I promise 2 of those things very strongly. The election machine flashed green, coughed twice, and printed a crown. The crown was too small, so Bigley wore it on his hair. Long live the temporary president for the next 48 hours. 48 hours is plenty of time to become unforgettable. That is exactly what concerns the insurance committee. Bigley's first official portrait required a canvas wider than the doorway. His second official portrait was simply the first portrait turned sideways. Now let us begin the greatest 48 hours in Martian history. Mars collectively checked the emergency exits. Executive Order 1 renamed the red planet Mara Mars. The planet has been named Mars for 4 billion years. Then the old branding has clearly stopped generating excitement. Executive Order 2 replaced the national anthem with entrance music. The anthem lasted 11 minutes and included 3 dramatic pauses. Martian days are already longer than Earth days. Excellent. Then everyone had more time to hear the anthem. Executive Order 3 required every crater to receive a positive name. Crater 14 is a toxic sinkhole. Call it an exclusive underground wellness destination. The tourism department resigned, then returned, because Mars had no replacements. Bigley created a department of winning with no measurable responsibilities. Its first achievement is existing ahead of schedule. Its first expense is a desk made from emergency oxygen tanks. The new president approved the desk before hearing the final sentence. By afternoon, Bigley discovered Mars suffered frequent meteorite showers. We will build a wall, and space will respect the property line. Meteorites arrive from above, not across the horizon. Then we will build the wall taller than above. Martian engineers produced a modest dome reinforcement proposal. Bigley added towers, flags, fountains, and a gift shop. Fountains require water, which Mars does not possess in fountain quantities. Use sparkling water and charge admission. Construction began with bricks made from compressed red dust. The first brick dissolved when someone looked at it skeptically. That brick lacked confidence, which is a management problem. Workers replaced the bricks with inflatable gold panels. A small meteorite hit the wall and bounced into the gift shop. The gift shop has recorded its first and final customer. Bigley called the test an energetic grand opening. Next, Bigley promised Mars its first 7-star luxury hotel. Our rating system ends at 3 stars and 1 warning triangle. Add 4 stars and remove the negativity triangle. The lobby featured a golden escalator designed for Earth gravity. In Martian gravity, guests floated upward faster than the moving steps. That is not a malfunction. That is premium express service. Every room had a balcony facing the same parking crater. The minibar contained 1 raisin and a contract for the raisin. Consuming the raisin activates a 30-year hospitality agreement. Nobody should eat anything that requires a witness. Bigley reserved the penthouse before workers installed the oxygen seals. Fresh air is the most luxurious air. There is no fresh air outside. Then, exclusivity has increased dramatically. The hotel opened with 0 guests and a completely full waiting list. By evening, Zorp had collected 12,000 formal complaints. Mars only had 11,000 residents. Several citizens complained twice, and 1 crater submitted paperwork. Complaints are simply applause wearing reading glasses. Then you are receiving historic applause from the sewage committee. Zorp challenged Bigley to the traditional Martian leadership debate. I have won debates against mirrors, elevators, and 1 very rude toaster. Did the toaster concede? It stopped talking after the fire department arrived. The debate rules required honesty, brevity, and respectful silence. Bigley requested 3 completely different rules. Rule changes require approval 5 business moons in advance. Fortunately, every moon is a business moon when I am working. That sentence has already violated the brevity rule. Tickets sold out before anybody learned the debate was free. The debate stage contained 2 podiums and 1 ceremonial bowl of dust. Candidates, explain how you will protect Mars for future generations. We strengthen the dome, conserve oxygen, and fund scientific maintenance. The audience nodded with the restrained enthusiasm of accountants. I will protect Mars with strength, style, and an unbelievable roof. How would you pay for a planetary roof? We sell naming rights to every mountain, crater, and to suspicious pebble. Your hotel already named the parking crater after itself. That demonstrates successful early revenue. Final question. What do you understand about Martian culture? The people are green, punctual, and surprisingly resistant to hats. The audience gasped through 3 separate breathing filters. Our culture values patience above every other civic virtue. I have waited almost 6 minutes to answer that. Before Zorp could respond, every light in the dome turned red. Planetary dust storm approaching. Estimated arrival in 9 minutes. Outside, the horizon disappeared behind a mountain of moving sand. This storm could block the solar grid and freeze every dome. Our emergency sunshade should retract automatically. The retraction permit is currently waiting for your 6th signature. I have only 5 hands. The regulation anticipated greater administrative commitment. The first dust wave struck before anyone found a spare hand. Solar power dropped from full strength to the brightness of soup. Nobody panic, because panic looks terrible under emergency lighting. We have 20 minutes before the heating system fails. The orbital sunshade is jammed with electrically charged dust. Then we need the greatest dust remover in the solar system. Every Martian slowly turned toward the man who built an inflatable wall. Excellent. I can feel the confidence returning. Bigley's first plan involved 12,000 industrial vacuum cleaners. Vacuum cleaners require air, and Mars is famously unhelpful there. Plan 2 involved pushing the storm backward with hotel fans. Those fans currently prevent 3 guests from touching the ceiling. Plan 3 involved asking the storm to leave politely. We have a very strong relationship with weather. The weather responded by stealing the podium. Plan 4 was a wall on top of the original wall. That creates a taller object for the storm to throw at us. Nays. Plan 5 was classified, mainly because nobody understood the drawing. Is that a solar reflector or a self-portrait? Great designs can accomplish two things. Wait, the gold coating could reflect concentrated sunlight. The first time, the ridiculous drawing contained useful physics. I have always said, physics becomes excellent after good branding. The hotel sign is large enough to redirect sunlight onto the jammed gears. The sign weighs 60 tons and is attached to an unstable building. Unstable buildings are simply buildings prepared to move. Air Force One can lift it if we remove every unnecessary object. They removed the gift shop, the fountain, and 14 boxes of hats. Keep the hats, because this is still technically a campaign. One box, and it becomes emergency insulation. Martian workers detached the massive sign using 6 careful lasers. Bigley added a 7th laser, because the number looks stronger. Please stop improving the geometry. The sign swung beneath the rocket like a golden frying pan. If the cable breaks, Civic Dome 7 becomes Civic Crater 8. That sounds like a memorable expansion opportunity. Everyone quiet, because I am flying a restaurant under a billboard. Air Force One climbed directly into the red storm. Inside the storm, visibility fell to approximately 1 presidential hair. Hold the reflector steady at 37 degrees. 37 is not a powerful angle, so make it 45. 45 sends sunlight directly through the city bakery. Fine. 37 is suddenly one of my favorite angles. Captain Vega aligned the sign with a narrow beam of sunlight. The beam crossed the sky and struck the frozen sunshade gears. Temperature rising, dust charge falling, gears beginning to move. Then the 7th decorative laser weakened the sign's upper corner. Your stronger number has created a weaker billboard. Nobody remembers numbers during a successful rescue. The corner snapped, rotating the reflector away from the gears. We need 80 more seconds of light. Bigley stared at the loose sign, then at his emergency hat box. At last, campaign merchandise has found a constitutional purpose. They tied 40 antenna hats into one surprisingly strong red rope. This violates material science, fashion, and at least 4 warranties. History rarely asks permission from warranties. You are not going outside. Correct, because I am going just outside enough. In low gravity, his enormous head functioned like a determined balloon. He bounced across the sign and grabbed the broken corner. This sign is much heavier when it is saving democracy. Mars is not currently a democracy, but please continue pulling. The hat chain stretched until every slogan became one long red blur. Reflector angle 36.8. And improving. Bigley pulled once, twice, and with maximum unnecessary drama. The sunlight snapped back onto the gears for exactly 80 seconds. The sunshade opened, solar power returned, and every dome warmed. The final hat broke, dropping Bigley gently into the hotel fountain. Mars survived, although the fountain still contained absolutely no water. Bigley saved the domes with science, sunlight, and discounted merchandise. The hats were always a renewable emergency infrastructure program. You called them an underserved market yesterday. The market evolved very rapidly. The 48-hour election machine began counting approval crystals. Zorp receives 9,812 votes. President Bigley receives 1 vote and 1 hotel coupon. Who cast the one very intelligent vote? I did, because the ballot button was also gold. Bigley requested a recount, a re-recount, and a louder counting machine. The result is final, but Mars offers you a ceremonial position. Supreme Leader, Temporary Minister of Emergency Merchandise. I accept, pending a much larger office. Before departure, Clerk 7 delivered the complete rescue invoice. 1 damaged sign, 1 broken fountain, and 14,000 missing hats. Charge the storm, because it caused most of the damage. The storm has no billing address. Then it is clearly avoiding taxes. The Martians presented him with 1 red rock and no refund policy. This stone commemorates the day Mars survived your assistance. A beautiful review, and I will quote only the final word. Air Force One launched home with 1 engine and half an espresso machine. Earth arrival in 12 hours, assuming nobody renames gravity. Bigley spent the flight planning luxury crater tours from a safe distance. You lost the election by 9,811 votes. On another planet, that could be considered extremely close. Back on Mars, Zorp quietly banned all unattended gold buttons. The universe, however, had already mailed Bigley another invitation. 3 days later, the red Mars rock began vibrating on Bigley's desk. Either this is alien technology, or the desk needs confidence. The signal is coming from beneath Jupiter's clouds. Jupiter is enormous, which suggests excellent audience numbers. The message contained coordinates, a crown, and 1 extremely large invoice. Earth candidate, please do not press anything gold near Jupiter. Good advice, because silver looks more presidential this week. Dr. Nova lunged across the office, but the button was already blinking. Congratulations. You have registered for the Jupiter Royal Tournament. Royal is excellent, and tournament sounds like winning with paperwork. Somewhere inside Jupiter, 1,000 alien trumpets began warming up. President Bigley had survived Mars, but Jupiter had rules of its own. Subscribe to TrumpVerse Tales for the next completely fictional disaster. Tell us which impossible planet he should misunderstand after Jupiter. Until then, remember that confidence is not a substitute for oxygen.